that we have previously discussed the why in part 1 and have gained insight as to why we should forgive, it is also equally important that we discuss the how. What steps should we take to make a life of freedom our reality? Step 1. Forgiveness is a choice. We must make the decision to forgive. Life has taught me many lessons on forgiveness. I believe one of the most profound lessons that I have learned along my journey is simply forgiveness is a choice. I know that forgiveness should be a lot easier if it was something we naturally grew into, like puberty or adulthood. But this is not so. Forgiveness is a choice. Well, truth be told, it's not simply a choice, but a continuous choice. A choice that we must actively make every day as we walk through our process of healing. Please don't misunderstand me. Making the choice to forgive does not mean ignoring appropriate boundaries or resuming the relationship with the perpetrator without changes, like nothing ever happened. It reasonably takes a while to trust someone who has hurt you. Have you ever heard of the older generation say, "It's better to feed the perpetrator with a long spoon"? This means we can still show the love of God despite our hurt when appropriate boundaries are in place. And let's be honest, with some persons, it's better to simply pray for them rather than extending out a hand. I have often heard it said that it's important to forgive and forget. And while I respect those who hold this view, I don't entirely agree with it. Have you ever tried to forget something you are trying to forget? It's impossible. How does one forget something they are continuously trying to forget? Let me give you an example. If I politely request that you not think of an elephant, what did you just picture in your mind? There have been many times in my life the Lord has allowed me to go through hurts, pains, or disappointments so that a lesson could be learned. How do we discover what God is teaching us and desires for us to understand when we are continuously trying to forget the hurt, forget the offense, or forget the situation? I believe it is important for us to adequately think through or analyze the situation, allowing ourselves to feel the varying emotions that it brings, asking God for insight, healing, and understanding so that we may see it through the lens of grace and God's sovereignty. So, should we forgive and forget? In my humble opinion, it's better to forgive and remember. I am not saying it's okay to be rude or brew in resentment. I am reminded of an old wise adage that says, "Donkey kick you once, shame on the donkey. Donkey kick you twice, shame on the donkey. But if that donkey kicks you 3 times, shame on you." In your attempt to forgive and forget, here is my advice. don't get kicked. This brings me to another important step in traveling the road of forgiveness: acknowledging the hurt. I often enjoy watching my 3-year-old and 9-year-old nieces play hide and seek. One particular day, I was given the honorary task of finding them. As they ran from room to room looking for the perfect hiding spot, finally, with the look of relief on their faces, they chose the closet. After minutes of pretending not to see them run into the closet, I walked over to the closet, opened the door, of course, acting surprised. My 9-year-old niece could barely be seen hiding behind some old clothes. But there was my 3-year-old niece, in plain view, kneeling down with her eyes closed as if to say, "Auntie, if I can't see you, you can't see me." As innocent and hilarious as this mindset may seem, I found that this is a mindset we often consciously or subconsciously hold. We tell ourselves ignoring our hurt will make it magically vanish into something that is non-existent. This mindset does not bring healing. It is important that we are honest about our hurt and what we are experiencing, asking God to bring total and complete healing to our spirit, soul, and mind. I know this may be a difficult step, but with God's strength, we can move out of the path of denial and onto the path of healing. I am reminded that even Jesus on the cross acknowledged his hurt and his feelings of rejection when he cried out, "Lord, Lord, why have you forsaken me?" Let's be honest in crying out to God. This brings us to step 3. Seek to understand your emotions. How can one understand his emotions when he never acknowledges them? Seeking to understand your emotions are a crucial part of the healing process. Being in denial is a defense mechanism we often use to protect ourselves from emotions we deem too difficult to handle. I understand. Sometimes it's difficult to accept what has happened, or we may feel as though acknowledging the pain may be a threat to our, shall I say, emotional security. Or we may believe acknowledging our deep hurts may result in a loss of control over our lives. However, we are often blinded that the reverse proves true. How does one decipher how a significant or traumatic life event has affected you or is currently affecting you when in denial? You may be saying to yourself, "If I don't think about it, I'm not affected." This is not so. Our emotions affect us psychologically by helping to shape our perspective. Therefore, it can be viewed as a catalyst to our behavior. Nicholas Sparks once said, "The emotion that breaks your heart is sometimes the very one that heals it." As you walk down this path of understanding, you will soon realize that your emotions is right behind you, running to catch up with your decision to forgive. This brings us to step number 4. Accept that you cannot change the past. I remember the first time I watched the popular 1985 film Back to the Future. This science fiction film featured a teenager by the name of Marty McFly. This teenager was accidentally sent back to the future through a time machine by a very, very eccentric scientist. Have you ever pondered on all of the new decisions you would make, or all the things you would change if you were to just get the opportunity to go back in time? Although this may seem like a dream to some, this proved disastrous for young Marty McFly because he inadvertently prevents his future parents from falling in love, thus threatening his very own existence. I know that life can be challenging. However, despite the challenges we face, life is also beautiful. When we ruminate about the past, it doesn't affect the past, but rather steal us of our future. If we were to go back in the past with a magical time machine, the new decisions that you have made and the things you will change will still have both positive and negative consequences. You may be thinking, well, I would never allow this person to hurt me, or I would have never made this decision or that decision. Take a deep breath and let's analyze our thoughts. As children of God, we must trust that He holds our future in the palm of His hands. Despite the ups and downs, the Bible tells us in Psalms 139:16 that each day was written in His book before one of them came to be. As you walk this road of accepting your past, keep looking forward, keeping the prayer of serenity close to your heart, which says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.